With the regular season hitting the final stretch, it seems like a pretty good time to look at the worst offseason moves that have shaped the 2025 NFL campaign. Ones that could very well doom these teams for years to come. So, without any further ado, let's dive right into the 10 worst and most regrettable moves of the 2025 NFL offseason. Dallas Cowboys trading Micah Parsons. Yes, we know. This trade could ultimately benefit the Cowboys in the long run. However, since this list is based entirely on the short term, it was a pretty easy choice to kick things off. Instead of paying the superstar linebacker what he's worth, Jerry Jones made things personal in negotiations to the point where Parsons had enough. And the man just requested a trade. Before the start of the regular season, Jones gave in and traded Parsons to the rival Green Bay Packers for veteran defensive tackle Kenny Clark, as well as 2 first-round picks. Parsons has single-handedly transformed the Packers' defense and is on pace to finish with a career high in sacks. The Cowboys' offense has been lights out this season, but they're going to miss the playoffs because of a wretched defense that's allowing nearly 30 points per game. And yes, Parsons would have single-handedly made this defense that much better. Jones flipped one of the first-round picks that he got from Green Bay to land All-Pro defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, so we'll see if Williams brings enough value, and if the Cowboys can make good on their other first-round pick from the pack. But in the short term, this trade looks like a colossal disaster for Jerry and America's team. Las Vegas Raiders trading for Geno Smith. After hiring Pete Carroll to fill their head coaching vacancy, the Raiders reunited him with old friend Geno Smith. The Seattle Seahawks traded the 2-time Pro Bowl signal caller to Las Vegas for a 2025 third-round pick, with Smith quickly agreeing to a 2-year extension worth $75 million. Smith won Comeback Player of the Year honors under Carroll's tutelage in 2022, so there's pretty good reason to think that this would be a smooth transition to Vegas. Not to mention that he'd have Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and promising rookie running back Ashton Genty as his main weapons. Just how much did Vegas like Smith? Well, so much so that new minority owner Tom Brady reportedly stopped the Raiders' push for Sam Darnold, who has since gone on to enjoy a career year with the Seattle Seahawks. Well, let's just say that Brady should probably just stick to broadcasting at this point. Sorta kidding, but oof, man, the Smith trade has really blown up in the Raiders' faces. Smith has just reverted to his old New York Jets form, which led to them giving up on him after 2 years. He's currently in danger of finishing as the league's leader in interceptions and notably flipped off angry Raiders fans after a Week 12 home loss to the Cleveland Browns. Smith obviously is not going to be the starter in 2026, but the Raiders would have to take on $18.5 million in dead money. And to think they passed on Darnold and could have drafted a polished rookie like Jackson Dart, who is currently lighting it up for the New York Giants. Hey, fear not, Raiders fans. We're sure your team will find a quarterback one day. Pittsburgh Steelers trading George Pickens. Everyone knew that Pickens had played his last game for Pittsburgh when the Steelers lost to the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card round. The trade itself wasn't surprising. Doesn't make it the right move though. You see, after acquiring star wideout DK Metcalf in a blockbuster trade with the Seattle Seahawks, the Steelers waited until the conclusion of the draft to trade Pickens. They ultimately dealt him to Dallas along with a 2027 6th-round pick for 2026 3rd and 2027 5th-round picks. The Steelers never bothered to address their obvious need for a number 2 receiver, which is kinda weird considering how they put all their faith in the hands of a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. The 4-time MVP has been okay, but far from great in Pittsburgh. The key reason? Well, Metcalf is his only reliable receiver. None of Pittsburgh's other pass catchers have stepped up, leaving the Steelers with a very stagnant offense, once again. Pickens, meanwhile, has enjoyed a career year with the Cowboys and has even outplayed CeeDee Lamb on plenty of occasions. Hey, just saying, what if Pittsburgh, I don't know, just held on to Pickens in his contract year and maybe try to see what he could do with Rodgers? You know, instead of selling low on him. Oh well, the Steelers usually win these blockbuster trades, but this was surely a costly trade to lose. Washington Commanders signing Javon Kinlaw. After releasing star defensive tackle Jonathan Allen in a cap-saving move, the Commanders tried to replace him by throwing $45 million over 3 years at Javon Kinlaw. All because the former San Francisco 49ers draft bust racked up a whopping 4.5 sacks with the New York Jets in 2024. The Commanders' defense has been, well, a complete disaster this season, and swapping out a star like Allen for Kinlaw is a key reason as to why. You see, Kinlaw has made zero impact in Washington, season, and might not even crack the 50 grade mark at Pro Football Focus. But other than that, the Commanders are getting a good return on the Kinlaw investment. Miami Dolphins drafting Kenneth Grant. The defensive line was hardly a problem for the Dolphins heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. I mean, they already had 3 quality pass rushers in Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Chop Robinson. There were far more pressing needs on the offensive line, at linebacker, and in the secondary. Heck, in hindsight, taking a wide receiver or tight end really wouldn't have hurt either, especially now that we know that Tyreek Hill most certainly is not returning to South Beach next year. Grant has been, by all metrics, one of the worst defensive players in the NFL this season. His Pro Football Focus grade is in the low 40s. You can look at the disappointing box scores and all, but man, his run defense has been especially a problem. And it's been more evident ever since Miami traded Phillips to the Eagles ahead of the deadline. The next guy drafted after Grant, tight end Tyler Warren, who has been instrumental in Daniel Jones' career-reviving season. Emeka Egbuka, Jalen Walker, Jahad Campbell, and Malachi Starks are among the other rookie standouts taken in round 1 who would have made much bigger differences in Miami. Tennessee Titans signing Dan Moore for $82 million. If somebody told you at the start of free agency that the Titans signed a veteran player for $82 million over 4 years, you would assume that they're talking about like a multi-time Pro Bowler or something, right? Oh no. Not in the case of Dan Moore. The ex-Steeler, who finished with a meh Pro Football Focus grade of 67.2, got a deal that paid him as if he were only a tier below Trent Williams, Penei Sewell, or Tristan Wirfs. Sure enough, Moore has been anything but an all-pro caliber offensive lineman for the Titans. Though the unit as a whole has been pretty horrible in front of Cam Ward, the rest of the starting linemen also aren't getting paid over $20 million a season. Moore ranks in the bottom half of PFF's 80-graded offensive tackles in pass blocking and run blocking. He's also among the leading offensive linemen in penalties and in danger of finishing as PFF's top bookend in sacks allowed. But hey, other than that, hey, they're getting every penny out of him. Cleveland Browns, their entire handling of the QB room. So, with Deshaun Watson sidelined for the entire year after re-rupturing his Achilles, the Browns had no choice but to start over at quarterback. Amazingly, they added 4 new quarterbacks to battle it out for the QB1 job. So far, we know at least 3 of them were mistakes. The Browns brought back 40-year-old Joe Flacco, hoping that he could regain the brief magic that we saw in his 2023 Comeback Player of the Year winning season. They acquired former Pittsburgh Steelers first-round pick Kenny Pickett in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, extending the QB competition to 2. And then at the draft, GM Andrew Berry picked not 1, but 2 quarterbacks. Oregon's Dylan Gabriel in round 3 and Colorado's Shedeur Sanders in round 5. Why, oh why, do you need 2 rookie QBs when you already have 2 vets on the roster? So anyway, here's what happened. After losing 3 or 4 starts, Joe Flacco was traded to the QB-needy Cincinnati Bengals, who had lost Joe Burrow to a turf toe injury. Pickett would have been worth a look behind center, but the Browns had traded him to the Las Vegas Raiders in August, refusing to even give him a chance beforehand. Like the guy couldn't do better than Flacco. Gabriel, well, he did next to nothing on offense as well before suffering a concussion in Week 11 against the Baltimore Ravens, so that has forced the Browns to put in Sanders, who at least won his first NFL start. But he is hardly looking like a long-term solution. So they whiffed on Flacco, Pickett, and at least Gabriel. In hindsight, why didn't they try and draft, I don't know, a top QB prospect like Jackson Dart, or I don't know, pursue Sam Darnold, or even taking a flyer on Kirk Cousins, who most certainly would have netted better results. Cincinnati Bengals drafting and playing hardball with Shemar Stewart. The Bengals needed more pass rushing help to complement Trey Hendrickson. So, we really liked the idea of drafting Shemar Stewart at the time. Of course, we didn't think incompetent owner Mike Brown would decide to screw up rookie contract negotiations right from the get-go. Oh boy. Unfortunately, that is exactly what Brown did, all because of disagreements in the language of Stewart's rookie deal, with Brown and the front office wanting to add a potential void of guaranteed money. Because, I mean, come on, rookie deals just cost so much money for billionaires, right? The holdout finally ended in late July, with Stewart agreeing to his rookie contract. But by then, he had already missed valuable offseason workouts and practices, costing valuable time to learn the Bengals playbook. Unfortunately, ankle and injuries have sidelined Stewart for most of his rookie year. In the limited action that he saw before his injury, the Bengals were only using him as a rotational player, which makes just no sense, especially considering how historically bad their D has been this year. It's unfair to Stewart that the Bengals dragged out negotiations, forcing him to rush his preparation for the NFL. They mistreated and misused him from the get-go, and they cost themselves the chance to acquire an impact player right away. Look, not to be Captain Obvious here, but I don't know. Maybe next time the Bengals should draft a rookie that they plan to A, pay, and B, play. New York Jets signing Justin Fields. After cutting ties with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets moved quickly to scoop up Justin Fields on a 2-year deal worth $40 million. That felt kinda generous, considering that Fields never once looked like an above-average starter. But New York was pleased with the 4-2 record that he posted with the Pittsburgh Steelers and thought, hey, they could unlock his potential. Not that it's entirely his fault, of course, but Fields has been even worse than the guy that we saw in Chicago. The one that the Bears couldn't wait to get rid of so they could draft Caleb Williams. Fields is hardly moving the ball downfield with his arm, and that dazzling rushing game that we saw in Chicago has barely been on display with the Jets. At least the 2022 version of Fields rushed for 1,143 yards and 8 touchdowns. Worse yet for Fields, veteran Tyrod Taylor has looked way better since taking over as a starter. So what does that exactly tell you? Fields is not a starting caliber QB in this league. The Jets are just paying him to be one. Atlanta Falcons trading up for James Pierce Jr. After selecting Alabama edge rusher Jalen Walker with the number 15 pick, the Falcons wanted to double down on the front seven. Requiring an extra day 1 pick to do so, they acquired the number 26 and 101 picks from the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for the 46th and 242nd picks, and their 2026 first-round pick. And with that number 26 selection, the Falcons took Pierce. When the Falcons made that move, they did it with the expectation that they'd be making the playoffs, meaning the Rams would be picking late with their 2026 first-round pick. So much for that. Not only has Pierce struggled to make a significant impact in Atlanta, but the Falcons are also on the verge of missing the postseason for the 8th consecutive year. With Michael Penix Jr. and Drake London both suffering serious injuries in the second half, the Falcons are likely to finish with a bottom 10 record. That means a top 10 pick for the Rams, who look like the team to beat in the quest for Super Bowl 59. So, basically, Atlanta gave up a second-rounder and a top 15 pick in 2026 for the number 26 pick in 2025. If that's not a fireable offense on the end of GM Terry Fontenot, then what is? Yeesh, and we thought signing Kirk Cousins for $180 million before drafting Penix 8th overall in 2024 was terrible management. But hey, what do you think was the worst move of the 2025 NFL offseason? Do you agree with our choices? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.